Hello, and welcome to another How to OU at USU. Today, we'll be looking at how to create a news feed for your website at Utah State University. Um, let's jump right in. So, I've already logged into OU campus, as you can see. So, to create a news feed, I'll go up to the plus new button and I'll create a new news section. Click that directory name. Let's call this one news because that's what it is. And we'll give it a page title of news and then department unit name. So we'll go with College of Engineering, I guess, or Utah State. It's even better. So we'll click create, and that'll create a new directory or a folder for us. That'll have this default page. Now, when we create news directories at Utah State University, we're using this really cool feature that's been built out for us by the web team called Content Promoter to help us make news stories a little bit faster and a little bit easier. This page will dynamically add all of the news stories as they get published to the web. So all I really need to do to finish up this part is create that index and then add a title. So we'll add that. Description, that check out latest and greatest, latest and greatest news from Utah State University's department. Cool. And once that's been added, we'll come back to this tagging stuff. We'll come back to a lot of this stuff, but that's all you need for now. We click save and publish. Cool. So we have an empty newsfeed. Now that's not very useful, but if we try to go to it in our URL, we can get to that page. Again, it doesn't show anything yet, so let's go ahead and start adding stuff. Now, most instances of Content Promoter for news will already have a folder in them that says main feed. Currently, ours doesn't, so we'll go ahead and create that folder, that new directory. We'll call it main feed. And if you're making your department's news feed from scratch, this is how you do it. And then inside that main feed, we'll create another folder that's just the year. So we're in 2020, so we'll add 2020 and click create. And cool, so we have a little bit of folder structure set up. We're going to go into that 2020 and we'll create our new news story that we're going to have populate on this page. So we click new and news article. Pretty straightforward. Since I don't have a whole bunch of news articles already defined, I'm just going to go ahead and create an article for each of the main colors in a rainbow. And I'll just steal some text from Wikipedia, and then we'll delete this in the future. So, yeah. So, page title, we'll call this one Color Red. Color Red. That'll be the name of the article itself, since we'll have it be some text about the color red. Next, we'll create our URL, just call it Red Story, and that'll be what you add to your URL to get to that page. And we'll click create. Cool. Then we get the basic stuff, so it looks like we still need to add a title and meta description, that sort of stuff. So let's go to properties. Actually, let's just start editing, and then we'll come back to that. So we'll click this edit main content area. We have the file checked out, and I'm just going to steal this text from Wikipedia, like I said. Don't do this in real life, obviously. You'll normally have your real news story from whoever wrote it, or if you just finished it and it'll be in Microsoft Word or something, then you can just pull it over. Delete everything out. That's at least what I like to do. Makes it much simpler. And then I also like to click this show block so I can see what I'm doing. And I will begin creating my news story. So I'm just going to paste that text in. I'm pretty lucky with pasting that in. It just added everything that it needed to. But I'm going to go right up here and add that. And so you see it already pulled in all these links and stuff too, which that's super useful for me. And then this news story will also have an image associated with it. So what I'll do is I'll create a new tag by pushing Shift Enter again, and then I will go ahead and add my photo. So insert edit image, I go to source, and I navigate to where that folder is. Since we're working out of the tutorials, we'll go there, we'll go to images, and you'll see, I don't have that picture yet, so I'll just go ahead and upload it, add, and you'll see I have all the images for this news stories that I'm going to make already created. So start by adding in red. It's small enough it works, so I can upload it, insert that into the story, and then I want to add my alt text, my descriptive text that lets screen readers know what this is about. Add that. That looks a little funky, so I'm going to go ahead and right click the image again and go to appearance, and I want to set the alignment to right, so that way it'll pull it over. There we go. So that way we get that nice wrapping, which makes it look pretty good. That'll work. These weird line things, that's just the show blocks. I can turn that off. And then I have my news story. So I'm going to go ahead and copy the first sentence of my news story and save all of that work. And then the reason I copied that first sentence in my news story is because I'm going to use that in the page properties. Now you'll notice that image isn't showing up. It's there. Trust me, it's there. It will show up. Don't worry about it. We're going to go to properties, and we're doing that because otherwise we get these weird notes. We could click on those. They'll take us to the same spot. Description, we're going to want to add that for a couple of reasons. I'm going to add that by pushing Control-Shift-V. That's going to add the text as straight up text. And then I'm going to add the last little details that I need. Now, you'll see there's a whole bunch of custom settings. It's kind of like overwhelming, right? Ignore most of them. Only worry about this publish date. I'm going to put today's date. It's the 12th, so I'll add that. Click OK, and news story looks pretty good. It's got the links it needed. If those didn't get pulled over for whatever reason, you can pull them over yourself. I added the image. The image isn't showing up yet, but that's okay. I can still see that alt text, that little red. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to click publish or submit it to whoever needs to approve it. And I'll make sure that this checkbox is checked. What that'll do is that'll publish all of the other items associated with this news story. So like that image, that'll publish that image too, so that way it'll show up. And then I'll say first publish of the red news story. So, and then Grammarly is an extension I have, helps me out. And there we go. Publish that. And if I go back to news and I push Control-Shift-R, nothing happens. That's weird. Okay, well, let's find out what's going on. Okay, so we created two new files, right? We created a main feed file, and then we created a year folder, those directors, and then the story itself of news story. Type that into my URL, try and go there. Oh, okay. So the news story did get created. It does exist, and it's there. It's just not pulling through to the main news feed. How do I get that to happen? Really simply. Go back into OU Campus. Go to your pages, and once you're ready for that news story to be published so that everybody can get to it through your news feed, go back to the index page, and we'll click on that. And we can, okay, cool. So we can see that news story did get created. It is there. Cool. We'll just publish it. Added a story. All right, cool. We'll publish that. And we'll go back to the home page, the news home page, and we'll hard refresh. And you can see that story showed up. Cool. I click it, and I get the link to the story itself. It has the date. Everything is good. Nice. Cool. So from there, you can just keep going as you need to. So let's go ahead and create another news story. We'll go into main feed 2020. We'll create the orange news article. So we'll call it orange story, just to be consistent with our other one. We'll call the file name orange story to be consistent, and then we'll call this up here, here, orange. And click OK, create. And then we'll go into edit. Let's just pretend for a second that I forgot to add the date. Well, not the date. We'll say I forgot to add the meta description. Let's see what happens if you forget to do that when creating a newsfeed. So I edit, have the file checked out, go I delete everything. I go to my copy for the news story, my written copy. Maybe you wrote it. Somebody wrote it, and now it exists. I'll just paste that in. Okay, so this time I pasted it as plain text. I didn't get all the links. So if I need to copy some of those links, I just copy that URL real quick, and then I can highlight the text, insert edit link, paste in the URL, and click OK. And look, the link exists. Awesome. All right. And then last time I selected that first sentence, right? And we'll save. And I added that to the properties. Let's pretend I didn't do that. Let's say I forgot. Nothing bad will happen, but something kind of weird will happen. Publish date. We remembered that, though, because we're paying attention, and that one's pretty good. We'll add today's date. Cool. News story looks good. If you still forgot that description, you'll still have that error, and you should fix that. But we'll click publish, and we'll publish. And then remember, we need to publish the actual news index so that we can see that change. And we come back, hard refresh. Oh, and we can see orange. Oh, crap. This one looks quite a bit different, though, right? So by not adding that description, we didn't get this text that we got right here. So, okay, cool, easy fix. We'll go back into the orange story, check out the file, go to properties, paste in that description. And Grammarly, if you have it, it'll help you out. Click save, publish. Okay, whew, saved it. It's all fixed. I hard refresh, I go back, and I hard refresh, and nothing changed. Why is that? Well, we got to republish that news index, right? So we'll go back to that. We'll hurry and publish that. We'll go in there. We can see that now that text has been added, but we don't get that image. Why don't we get that image? That's a little weird, right? Okay, well, we click that. We don't get the image. Let's go to the news story itself. And, oh, yeah, we forgot to add the image. Okay, cool. Check the file out, and we'll add the image. This time, we'll just, I think I right-clicked last time, so I'll use the top nav this time. Source, I just need to navigate to the folder where I have all of my images, or at least where I want all of my images to be. Oh, I don't have orange uploaded. I upload, add orange, and start upload, and I insert. Okay, cool. Decorative, nah, this one's important for the story, so we'll say orange. We want to help screen readers out. And okay, so that's a little bit weird. It just takes up all that space. We'll go back into edit. We'll go to the appearance. We'll say alignment. Well, let's have this one go on the left-hand side, right? And there we go. We could probably sit there and fiddle with the spacing and stuff, but for now, that'll work. We'll save that. The image is there. We're going to publish the story again. Include all unpublished dependencies. Okay, so that'll publish that orange photo. Publish. And then if I come to the new story and hard refresh, oh, I can see that the image did come through. And if I go back to the news story, hard refresh, oh, didn't show up there. That's okay. We know what that is. We just need to republish the index, right? So we publish that. We'll click into it. Doesn't matter how we publish it. We'll publish it. And we hard refresh. And we can see that the photo pulled in. Cool. Little bit of a problem though, right? This photo takes up way more space than this photo. That doesn't look very professional. It's not very consistent. It's not very precise. That's going to make our news feed look a little wonky, right? Well, okay, how do we fix that? Well, we'll go back to our news stories. And, well, the orange one seems to be a little bit more of a problem because it's like pushing everything down. So we'll start with that one. The way we edit that is we check out the file, go to our properties, and we can add this thumbnail image, right? And we'll do that. We'll click the choose file, and what we'll do is we'll again navigate to the folder where we're saving all of our images. Typically that'll be in an images folder, so we don't have a thumbnail uploaded, but here we'll go ahead and add one right now. And that's what this thumbnails is for. And then I can specify the size. So I've specified that 400 by 300 is the size that I'm going to use for all of my thumbnails. So that way my news stories will look very clean and precise. And so I add that, upload, and I choose file, and I get, one of those weird dependency tags. I can see the file path if I need to. But that's all. And then all this other stuff also does some other cool stuff. We're not going to worry about that. As you get more comfortable with OU, go ahead and play with that a little bit and get an idea of what each of those things do. But for now, we don't really need that. We'll just save, and we'll publish and include unpublished dependencies. Okay, cool. That didn't change our news story. That's good. We need this image in our news story, but we want our thumbnail to change for the news feed itself. And then we'll go back to that news feed, click into that, and there we can see that that's 400 by 300. Publish that, and we will refresh. Cool. Okay, so that fixed that up. Okay, now the red still looks a little bit different. Okay, well, that's okay. We'll go to the red news story because the first image that is in the news story gets pulled in for the news feed if you don't specify a thumbnail. So we'll just specify a thumbnail for that story too. Same spot, always the same spot. And we'll go to our images directory. I haven't uploaded the thumbnail yet, so I'll hurry and add that. I already made it just with Photoshop. It's also 400 by 300. And by specifying that file size, I can choose that for my thumbnail. Very good. Save, publish, make sure that that's checked. So that way it'll get published. And then I want to go back to my news index, right? And I'll publish that one more time. And as you can see, the stories have switched. We'll talk about that in a second. But each of the images are now 400 by 300, and that just looks more consistent, more professional, a little bit nicer. The news stories will go in chronological order. If they are on the same date, it'll usually go with the story that was last published. So that goes back to that published date. So let's say we really need the red story to say it was published maybe a couple days ago or something. Maybe we were a little slow getting it up or something, we can fix that. We will go into that red news story, check the file out, properties, and just change that published date to Friday on the 10th. So that way we can say that we got it done. Publish that, and then again we have to go back and publish that news index. Every time you make any sort of a new news article, you're going to need to come back to that news index and make sure that that change, which as we can see in the preview right there, gets made and that it gets published. And we hard refresh, and ta-da, we can see both of the news stories are working and they're in there. Cool. And they're consistent, so that looks nice. Sweet. All right, cool. That's been How to OU at USU. How to create a news feed using Content Promoter. So, thanks. Have a great day, and bye.